This is Youth Services Youth Programming. This is the State Library of Iowa's core endorsement program. I am your instructor. My name is Janae Jackson-Doring, and I'm the Youth Services Consultant for the State Library of Iowa. If you have any questions regarding youth programming or want to discuss further on brainstorming new ideas for youth programming, please get a hold of me. I would be more than welcome to go to your library and discuss youth concerns with you. So our plan today, we're going to cover what a program is and go over programming basics. We'll also discover what makes a good program. We'll also share the best practices, mostly the do's and don'ts, for programming for ages 0 to 3, 3 to 6, elementary ages, and for teens. So, what is a program? Basically, a program is an activity or activities that library staff plan and present. Sometimes, like during summer reading, libraries will contact presenters to present special programs. And programs, they don't have to be a standard program. They can be informative, they can be recreational, they can be educational, and they can be fun, just like this program here of kids playing with bubbles. Now, if you are a youth services professional, you will be providing programming for ages 0 to 18 and their caregivers. So I'm just going to really quickly give you some youth programming basics. With youth programs, you can decide what the programs will look like for your library. And basically, you're going to look at your community and see what kinds of programs will be best for your community. And youth programs, they involve planning and trial and error. So you will have to plan out exactly how that program is going to look, who is your target audience, when, what time, how these programs are going to look for your community. And tailor your programs to your community and be willing to change them. Sometimes you might have a plan and a program and you realize, oh my gosh, I forgot this group or this age group. I need to adapt. So tailor your programs to your community and change them as needed. And this is the most important thing. Plan programs based on your community's needs and wants. If there is a certain thing that a community wants, listen to them. Ask them what would they like to have at their library? What kinds of programs? What kinds of events? This program here, this picture right here is of Iowa City Public Library, and they hired Absolute Science to come out and do a phone zone program. So you see all the kids and some of the staff having fun outside during summer, but they listened to their community. They wanted something that was fun and engaging for their kids to do outside. So really think about these basics when you start to develop and think of programming. So what makes a good program? A good program is engaging and interactive. Kids want hands-on experiences. They want to be engaged in what you're presenting. They want to do things, make things, see things. So make sure it's engaging and interactive. A good program is well planned and carefully thought out. So before you even do anything, have a planning sheet that says what you need. Let's see, if you're planning, let's say, for example, a Batman celebration. Am I going to have the meeting room? Do I need to reserve the meeting room? How many stations will I have for this event? Will I have a scavenger hunt? Will there be prizes? How many teen volunteers do you need for this program? So really take the time to carefully plan out all the things you're going to need for that program. Make sure your program is inclusive. That includes all ages, all abilities, all developmental levels, so that way everyone feels seen and heard. Programs, they change lives. They really, really do. especially from Storytimes all the way to adult programming. A good program will change lives. They also create positive memories and experiences, especially for families that I've worked with. They love story time. They would come up to me and say, thank you for providing a wonderful story time for my child, because now my child loves to draw, they love to read, they love to write stories. So when you create programs, you are creating positive memories for parents, caregivers, and children, and they'll take that with them for the rest of their lives. A good program also changes how patrons think about the library. So after attending a program where there was lots of attendees, those patrons had a wonderful experience. They had such a good experience that they realized, oh, wow, the library has this service. They have this cool materials. They have all these things. And then they're sharing that with other members in their community. Hey, I went to this wonderful program. Did you know the library has A, B, C, D, E, F, G items? So it really changes how the patrons think about the library and how it affects their lives. And most importantly, a good program has the patrons leaving the program informed. So if you are providing information during a story time and you're providing early literacy tips that say, hey, did you know that when you read to your child, you are building language with your child? The patron feels informed. They feel like, oh, I just learned something. Wow. So when you're putting on story times or different types of activities, or whether it's a speaker from the zoo or from the extension office, those people and you are giving information to the patron so that way they can leave the library better informed and also wanting more information. They might leave the program and go out to the library and say, hey, do you have a cookbook on healthy cooking? Or for a teen, hey, do you have any books by this author? So you want to make sure the patrons leave your program informed. So now we have the programmer's life. I put this graphic on here because it is so true. It is ebb and flow. When you are planning programs, it is an ebb and flow kind of life with a programmer. Sometimes you plan the perfect program. You spend time, you spend money, you have all these cool things for your program, and no one shows up. It is okay. When those instances happen, you just have to breathe. So many things are going on in people's lives right now, and it's an ebb and flow. When you create programs, it's an ebb and flow. And sometimes you plan the perfect program and you spend the time, the money, and all the things, and you have a ton of attendees. You have a ton of people show up, and that's wonderful. So I put this graphic of ebb and flow on here because that is the programmer's way of life. You have to roll with the punches. You have to roll with the changes. I mean, you may have teens tell you, yes, I'm going to come to your anime program, or I'm going to come to your manga program, and nobody shows. It's just the programmer's way of life. Sometimes you may have a small program and you may have 50 people show up. It's just the way of life of programming. There's no easy way to go around it. So just remember, when you're programming, it's going to be ebb and flow, trial and error. So let's take a peek at programming for ages 0 to 3. So with ages 0 to 3, your focus is going to be on presenting early literacy programs. So these programs are for caregivers and their young children. Early literacy programs encourages reading and a love of literacy for children and families. They also teach caregivers the 5 early literacy skills, which is very crucial in their development. And the 5 early literacy skills are read, play, sing, write, and talk. So for this age cohort, baby story times or baby lap sits or baby rhyme times, that's usually what it's called too. This is a crucial story time for this age group because you are emphasizing the importance of reading to babies to develop language. They are learning how to say words, how to form sounds. So through your baby story times, you are modeling that. You are introducing board books, baby bounces, and rhymes to caregivers. So that way they are able to model and do those baby rhymes and bounces at home and show parents how to turn the pages from left to right for baby. Baby story times also provides physical spaces for socializing with other caregivers and connecting with their baby. So the best practices for baby story times, if you decide to have one at your library, I would recommend conducting a 15-minute story time with direction. So you'll have a story followed by rhymes and baby bounces. Make sure you offer playtime and socializing because children learn best through play. Provide easily sanitizable toys and board books because babies are learning how to turn the pages from left to right. They're chewing, they're putting their mouths on toys. So you make sure you have some Clorox wipes, just have some easily cleanable toys and Clorox wipes so that way you can wipe down the board books and toys. And be prepared for older children, especially siblings. Sometimes you might have older children that are out for an early out day, or they're out because of professional development, they're out of school. So they might be attending story time with the younger baby. So just be aware of that. Some things you don't want to do, don't conduct a 20-minute story time where you're just reading for 20 minutes when you have such a captive audience. You have that perfect time where you can just read one story and do a lot of bounces and rhymes with your audience. And try to do not direct, every activity, including the play. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, let the children, let the babies and the moms guide the play, guide the activity, and don't defer to older children. So now we're going to switch gears. We're going to move to the older side. We're going to go to programming for ages 3 to 6. So this is the toddlers and preschoolers, and this group, they are explorers. They love sensory play. They are learning how the world works. They are very vocal. They are asking questions. This is a group that loves to explore and make and do. So with our toddlers and preschoolers, they are continuing to build on the 5 early literacy skills. You will notice that this group of kids, they will answer why and they will ask why again and again. They have fine motor development skills expanding. And this is the time where you're adding crafts or games or extension activities to develop their learning. You want them to gain independence, but with this group of kids, they still will want their caregiver to help. They might be reluctant or shy to try something because they want that caregiver to give them that confidence to do so. But more importantly, with this group, you are getting them ready for school. You are building on those skills that they need to thrive in school. And this is so important. Children learn by playing. They learn through play. Just having toys or different activities out, they are learning skills. I hear from so many preschool parents, they would say to their kids, what did you do today? And the children would say, oh, I played. And parents would get frustrated. And I would tell them, please don't get frustrated, because that's their job. As a toddler and a preschooler, that is their job. That is their one job, is to play. They're learning skills just by playing. And what do I mean skills? They are learning cooperative play. Cooperative play means taking turns and sharing with other children. So when children play after a story time, they are enhancing social skills and language skills. They're learning how to use their words. If they want a toy, use your words. And it boosts their creativity and their imaginations. Children have huge imaginations. We know they can draw. We know they can make things out of Play-Doh. They have such a wide imagination, and we want to encourage that. So real quickly, I am going to show you a video from the Lego Foundation's Power of Play. And this just reinforces why play is so important. So now we're going to discuss toddler, family, and preschool story times. These story times are the foundation of a public library. They are the reason why young families come to the library. Young families want to hear a story. All families want to hear a story. So we're going to talk really briefly about the 3 different kinds of story times here. So preschool is geared for ages 3 to 5-year-olds. The thing about preschool story time with preschoolers, this story time, their attention spans are increasing. Preschoolers can sit through longer books, longer picture books. They engage in music activities. Sometimes you might do a freeze dance, so a listen and move activity with music. They are recognizing rhyming words, and you are really working on that print awareness. So ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, counting. With print awareness, you're learning what the shapes of the letters look like. So you're really building those school readiness skills with preschool story times. With toddler story times, toddlers, this is for roughly ages 18 to 36 months. So with this group, they are very wiggly. They have very short attention spans. So you really want to focus on providing short stories with lots of rhymes, lots of music, lots of movement. Family story time is kind of a unique story time because that involves the whole family. So that's why I put all ages. This group, you will see kids from birth all the way up to about roughly age 8, 6 to 8. So I like to provide a variety of picture books for this group. I like to have songs and movement with scarves for this group. And I like to provide activities that the whole family can do after story time. So it could be a craft, it could be a sensory activity where they do some sensory play, but have something that the whole family can do together. So really quickly, for the best practices for toddler story time, do provide a short 15-minute story time. So, and then at the bottom, I have three picture books that you can use for your story times. Ask questions to the kids, but make sure you pause and listen for their answers. So many times we just ask questions, but we don't give children the time to think. We have to give them the time to think. Young children are processing what you are saying. So when you're reading and asking questions, pause and listen for their response. Use puppets and scarves. It's a great way to get those wiggles out. First, the scarves. You can do peekaboo with scarves. There's lots of fun activities you can do with scarves. And toddlers love puppets. They love to touch the puppet. They love to see what the puppet says. You can do peekaboo with puppets. Puppets are fun. If you have a toddler that is restless or crying, it is okay to close the book. Close the book and say to parents, you know what, we're going to stop right now. We're going to go into a song or a stretch or a finger play. So if you have that happen where a toddler is just crying or a couple toddlers are crying, close the book, move into a different activity. And then if you have time, go back into reading the book. Make sure you sing nursery rhymes because kids are learning how words sound. They're learning how to sing. They're learning how words sound and the repetition of sounds. Also, you want to select picture books with big pictures and simple text or movements, or picture books that you can sing. At the very bottom of your screen, there are 3 picture books that I like to use with toddlers. The Seals on the Bus is kind of a version of Wheels on the Bus. So it's a fun, engaging picture book for kids because it's a different version of the Wheels on the Bus. Then there's Eric Carle's From Head to Toe. That is a great picture book because it gets the kids moving. They have to mimic the movement that the animal is doing in the story. So if the animal is patting their head, the child has to pat their head. If the gorilla is hitting his chest, then the kids have to hit their chests. So it's a great book for movement. And Monkey and Me by Emily Gravett is a great book because it has that sing-song kind of feel to it where kids can easily pick up the rhyme and the repetition and the pattern. It's a great picture book. So you want to select picture books with simple text, simple movements, and picture books that you can sing out loud with the kids. And after story time, offer playtime, offer toys on the carpet where the kids can play, or process art. Now, what do I mean by process art? Process art is where you just set a couple of craft items on the tables and you let the toddlers make whatever they want. It's self-guided art activities. That means the parents are not telling them to put the little papers right on the line. No, toddlers just make whatever they want. So even if it's just putting out crayons and construction paper and stickers and letting them scribble, that is okay. They're learning how things work and they're learning how to hold a crayon. They're learning to get those fine motor skills strengthening in their hands. So that is what process art is. What I would not recommend is reading long picture books with this group. Again, the short attention spans, they have a very short attention span. And don't continue to read if a toddler is throwing a tantrum. Do not try to power through and read 2 or 3 books if you have a toddler that is having a big meltdown. It's distracting for the other kids, it's distracting to the other families, and it's also distracting to you. And please do not forget to move and dance and have music with this group. Toddlers love to wiggle, and it's a great way to get those wiggles out. And don't give up the playtime. For preschool and family story times, here's some best practices for them. Make sure you offer a 20-minute story time with music and movement. Make sure you're asking questions of the kids, asking them, oh, what's happening on this page? And remember to pause and listen for their answers. You want to model behavior for adults and children. So if you're holding up the picture book and if you're holding it up and showing them how to read the books, you are modeling the correct way to read stories to children. So that way caregivers can learn from you, and that way they can duplicate that by doing the same exact modeling at home for their children. This group can handle longer picture books, so consider reading longer picture books and try to incorporate elements of interactive play. So having more scarves, puppets, listening and moving activities. So maybe a freeze dance. So those types of things, because it's teaching them school readiness skills. And again, offer crafts or activities that build upon those school readiness skills. But do not ignore your audience. If you're reading a picture book and you're not asking them questions, kids get frustrated. Parents get frustrated because they want their children to engage with your book. They want to engage with you. So don't ignore the kids. Don't forget that you guys still need to move. So make sure they're getting up and doing a game or getting some wiggles out. Don't make the story time all about you. Parents and caregivers do not come to story time just because it's all about you. They are there because they want to hear stories. They want to know skills that are going to help their child get ready for school. And don't forget elements that make a text engaging. So when you're reading books, make sure you're having silly voices, silly sounds. Really get engaged with the books that you're reading, because if you enjoy it, then they will enjoy it. If you pick books that you don't like, they're not going to like it. And don't give up playtime. I'm going to move my picture real quick. So if you are new to Storytime, you want to make sure you plan out what you're going to do. Have a plan. So on the screen to your left is kind of a template that I use when I go to plan story times. So you want to make sure you have a welcome song that welcomes families. Maybe for the second activity, you want to have a song or a nursery rhyme or a game that they play, or offer a second song, a second rhyme, and a second game they play. Your first book should be your longest book that you read. Then you go into your second book, and then you can offer another song, rhyme, or a game, or a prop. You might be getting up and wiggling or moving with scarves or musical instruments. If you have time, depending upon the feel of the crowd, you can offer to read another book, a third book. It just depends. So you're going to have to really plan out your story times. Plan out, if you want to have a theme, plan it out. What will it look like? What rhymes will you need? What props will you need? What activities, extension activities, or crafts will you need? Really take the time to plan it out, because when you plan it out, then you feel more prepared to offer the best story time that you can. But as I say this, your plans might change. You could have the best story times in the world and something happens where there's meltdowns. You might have to deter from your plan and go into some songs or some nursery rhymes because a preschooler or a toddler is having a bad day. And that's okay. It's okay to deter from your plans, because toddlers and preschoolers are growing. They're still learning. So make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a plan and be willing to deter from that plan if needed. Okay, we are going to move now to programming for elementary, ages 6 to 12. I'm going to move my screen back real quick, my camera. There we go. So what do elementary age kids want? They want independence. They want to be able to do things on their own. And what that means is they want to come to the library on their own or sometimes with a caregiver. This group wants to make new friends. They're realizing they want to develop those social connections with their peers. They also want to explore interests. Some of these kids have hobbies or collections. So they want to explore interests and share those interests with their peers. And they want the library to have programs and spaces to nurture that development. So family programs or all ages programs are a great way to have that space for this cohort. They're great for this age group. Family programs can help launch individual programs. So some examples of some family all ages programs would be hosting a movie night or a family game night or having a magician or special events or concerts. And I'll show you some quick examples here. This is the Southside Library's program. They had invited Polk County Conservation to come out, and they did a Bug Me program where it was all about bugs. So the speaker came out and read to the kids and showed them different kinds of bugs that live in Des Moines. And then afterwards, they got to break up into stations. So inside the library, the kids got to complete a scavenger hunt and get a prize. And outside on the tables, the kids got to look at different types of insects and different types of bugs, bug puppets, and bug books. So that was a great all ages family program. Coon Rapids Public Library, they hosted Jeff Quinn's magic show. So as you can see in the picture, there's the magician and he's holding up, he's having our young friend holding two fish, and we have kids that are engaged with the magician. Again, a great way to bring all ages coming to the program. Everyone's having a wonderful time. So some best practices for elementary all ages programming: make sure you provide lots of stations and activities for different kinds of learners. So if you're gonna have a family fun night, maybe you have a station outside where it's outdoor games on the lawn, and inside you might have a scavenger hunt. You might have a station for making friendship bracelets, but try to have different types of stations and activities for kids to do, all kinds of kids, all types of learners. And you want to solicit input at early planning stages. So really ask the community, ask parents, ask other librarians, hey, how did that work for you? What kinds of stations should I be offering for an all ages program? What worked, didn't? Really get that feedback so that way you can plan the best programs that you can. Make sure you're flexible. All ages programs, they are not strict. So really be flexible in what you're providing and follow the interests of the community and your kids. They will tell you what they want, and they have no shame. They have no filters. They will tell you what programs they'd like to see at the library. For elementary all ages programs, they can be longer and they can be more regular. They could be every Wednesday after school from 3 to 4 o'clock. So you have some flexibility with this group. Make sure you don't forget where the kids are developmentally. So you want to make sure your activities are age appropriate. Don't be unwilling to change your plans. Things happen. You can't make things so rigid. So be willing to be flexible, changing your plans. Again, you are serving a community, so please be flexible. And don't age things down. Kids are very smart, so make it age appropriate. Now we are going to shift gears to programming for teenagers, ages 12 to 18. So what do we know about teens? They are sensation seeking. What do I mean by sensation seeking? Their brains reward them for risks. These guys are willing to see how far they can push the button. They love dares, they love challenges. So keep that in mind when you are planning programming. You have teens that are figuring out their place in the world. They're trying to figure out who they are in the world and in their community. They want to be seen and valued as individuals with something to give. Teens can be helpful. They could be your biggest champions, your allies. The picture to your right is a picture of teens that I worked with at the Southside Library. They were my teen volunteers, and they understand what it means to volunteer, to be a part of something, and they understood that the library provided them with a safe space and a way for their voice to be heard. And they also learned how to give back by being a volunteer. And they also learned about library life and what the library can do for them. So please remember that they want to be seen and valued as individuals with something to give. And teens need our help. They need our help. They need a safe space for them to be. And they need advocates. They need champions in their corner that are fighting for teen services and teen programming. So, Homago, I don't know if you're familiar with Homago. Homago means hanging out, messing around, geeking out. This is a self-directed learning program that came out in 2013. And basically, it is teaching kids how, mostly teenagers, it's showing how they use social media and new media. How do they use it? How do they use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? When a new media platform exists, how do they use that? The Homago guidebook, if you click on that link, it is an actual guidebook that talks about how teens and their friends use new media and how as librarians, we can provide programming that is self-directed for teens. So this next slide that I'm going to show you is of Mimi Ito. She is a researcher and she has worked with Homago, and she's going to talk about how Homago helps with the development of teens. And this is a very short video. It's roughly 2 minutes.
Last year, I wrapped up a 3-year study with a large team of researchers where we were looking at a lot of different examples of kids' new media practice, ranging from sort of everyday hanging out behavior on sites like MySpace and Facebook with text messaging, IM, to what we were calling more geeked out kinds of participation, like making YouTube videos, remixing videos, creating podcasts, engaging in fan fiction, and other forms of fan production. I think our most important top-level finding was that there was tremendous diversity in what kids were doing online and what kids were learning online. So most kids were engaged with what we were calling friendship-driven participation, which was primarily about hanging out with their friends online. And this is stuff that's not so different from what older generations did or what kids are doing today in the lunchroom and hallways at school. And this is a really important site of learning the sort of important social behaviors and what it means to grow up in a digital world, and the sort of ways in which kids post, link forward, comment, create top friends lists. These are all negotiations that are incredibly important to kids growing up today. There was a smaller minority of kids who started using this baseline technical and media literacy as a jumping off point to start developing more sophisticated kinds of skills. And this is what we called messing around, or as a transition to more geeking out kinds of forms of participation. And that's where we saw a much smaller cut of kids. It was really a minority, those kids that tend to be identified with more creative or geeky or intellectual pursuits at school, kids who have strong interest-driven orientations. And these are the kids who are using the online world, using new media production tools, games, as environments to really develop specialized interests and very sophisticated forms of technical and media literacy.
So what do teens like? They love a ton of things. They like a ton of things. So they love to be a part of teen advisory boards or groups. They love pop culture programs. So anything pop culture related. So anything that's happening right now, what they're talking about, tweeting about, or TikToking about on TikTok. They love pop culture programs. If you plan an escape room, escape rooms are great. It's a great activity because they're using their critical thinking skills. Manga or anime clubs. Mangas are great. Teen mangas are wonderful to read for teens because it's helping them engage in literacy and creating a love of learning. So maybe consider creating a manga or anime club. They love cosplaying or in cosplay contests. So that's another program to consider at your library. Craft programs. They love to be crafty. So drawing programs, perler beads, painting, any type of craft program that we could provide for them would be a wonderful way to add programming for teens. STEM programs, coding. So if you have gaming or Minecraft or coding programs, it's another great way of building those STEM skills and providing STEM opportunities for teens. Food. If you have food, they will come. So provide cooking classes, maybe asking Hy-Vee or your local grocery store if they can come into the library and teach kids how to make something, cook a recipe. Teens need to learn how to measure, how to pour ingredients, how to read and follow step by step on a recipe. Those are important skills because they're going to be growing to become adults. So providing a cooking program is a great way to get teens at the library. Volunteer opportunities, but learning what it's like to work in a library and providing them with teen volunteering opportunities. It's teaching them library skills, it's teaching them about the profession, and it's teaching teens how to give back to the community. And real world preparation programs. So those are great programs to have, especially if it's teaching teens how to change a tire, how to sew, how to build a resume. These are all skills that teens will need as adults. So keep this list in mind when you are considering teen programming at your space. So best practices for teen programs. Teens, ask them. Let them voice what programs they want. Let them tell you what things that they'd like to see at the library. They have great opinions and they have great ideas. And you being able to listen to those ideas, it shows teens that you are an ally, that you support them, and you see them as an individual. You see them as an equal. So let them voice what they want and offer a variety of programs for them. Don't just plan one thing. Offer different varieties of different types of programs for teens. And experiment. So experiment with the times that you offer the programs and the days. Maybe Tuesdays at 4 o'clock isn't going to work. From 4 to 5, it may not work for them. Oh, but you could have a teen program on their early out days from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So experiment with the days and times that you offer these programs. Find a need, fill a need. In my community in Des Moines, I noticed that there wasn't any teen programming for a juvenile behavioral center. So I went out and conducted on-site outreach teen programming to them. I brought the programming to them. Instead of them coming to us, which they couldn't do, I went out to them. So find a need and fill that need. And offer outreach to high schools, middle schools, behavioral centers. Why is that important? Because you are showing these institutions that the library has things teens need. And when you do that outreach and connect with other teens and other professionals working with teens, those institutions will think of the library. They'll say, hey, who can we partner with this program? I know, the library. They do great programs with teens. So be willing to go out and take your programs out into the community. But don't give up. Do not give up. This is hard work. Teens are hard to work with. Sometimes they're fickle, so don't give up. And don't compare and despair when it comes to other programs. Don't compare yourself to another library. Just don't, because each library is different. Each program is different. So don't give up. Don't get frustrated. And don't forget to play with these teens. Don't forget, they are sitting in classrooms. Sometimes they're sitting in classrooms all day. They have jobs. They have extracurricular activities. And the library could be a place for them to play and just kind of forget their troubles, even if it's just for an hour. Teens need that space to just kind of breathe and be a teenager. So don't forget to offer opportunities for them to just play and be a teenager. And don't force a program on teens. It's not about you. You may think, oh, I'm going to do this really cool program, and I know teens are going to like it, even though I super duper like it, and they don't. Don't do that. Don't force a program on them. It's going to make them feel like they're not heard. So don't force a program on teens, especially if it's a program that they do not want, because it's not about you. It's about serving them. School calendars. Okay. This is a copy of Des Moines Public Schools 2022 to 2023 school calendars. As a youth programmer, you want to get to know the school calendars in your town or your city. This is going to be kind of your holy grail as far as finding out when the kids have no school, when they have early out days, when they have professional development days for teachers and they're out of school. You're going to need to grab this calendar and really look at when the kids have school, when they have no school, when they have when they're getting out of school, or when they're weather makeup days. Use this calendar to really plan out your programs and plan the times accordingly. That being said, the other thing you want to do when you're planning programs is look at what other big things are happening in your town or in your community. So let's say you have a St. Patrick's Day parade. You have a large St. Patrick's Day parade that's happening on St. Patrick's Day. I wouldn't plan a program on St. Patrick's Day, because if all the town is going to that parade, they're going to be going to the parade. So really make sure you see what other big events are happening in your town. You don't want to conflict with big school events. You don't want to conflict with large city events or sporting events. So really pay attention. You want to make sure you have programming on days where the kids are out of school, where it's convenient that parents can come and bring their kids to the library. So get to know that calendar. And just some final advice. Programming is full of highs and lows. Remember, it's an ebb and flow. Some days you may have a perfect program and lots of people show up. Some days you may have the coolest program and nobody shows up. Remember, breathe. It's okay. It is just the programmer's way of life. Just remember to listen to your community, listen to their wants and needs, and plan smart. Make sure you plan what you need. What are those things that you're going to need for your programs to make them successful? And you got this. Thank you so much for viewing. To learn more, contact the State Library of Iowa.